Welcome everybody to the Watchlist, your virtual weekly TV guide right here on the Latin Nerds Network. Ready to talk about all the shows that got released on streaming, give you our best recommendations, and of course let you know what's coming out next week so you can create your very own watch list. Introducing, of course, as always, is my co-host in this journey across the streaming seas. There's a Senor Jaime, aka Chewy, back from his amazing vacation in Jersey, I'm sure. What up, brother?
Hey man, what's going on?
Stupid Jersey. It's a very light week, so it's not going to be a big show. But this, it's turns to what's coming out next week. It's a stacked upcoming week of releases across the board. So we'll get to that momentarily. But before we get to some of the stuff that came out for last week, just to go back on a couple of shows we haven't talked about, ones that I kind of wanted to wait on. Just a few. But the first one is Picard, season 3, the final season, I guess, of Picard on
P-card.
Paramount Plus. 3 episodes thus far, weekly show. Chewy. 3 episodes down. What do you think so far about the finale? Well, so far anyway.
No man, I'm really liking it. I think it's better than season one and season two so far. It's given us a lot of that nostalgia for those of us who are fans of the next generation iteration of Star Trek. So it's brought back Worf, and we have a Geordi connection, and Dr. Crusher. The only one we're really missing is Will Wheaton.
Yeah.
Wesley question, but whatever. But it's good, man. I mean, I'm liking it a lot, and so
Yeah, I lost video for a second. That's okay. I
yeah.
can still
Sorry,
hear you,
sorry.
so let's see if we can get that back on. Yeah, I mean, I echo those thoughts. I was looking forward to this season. I wasn't a big fan of the second one. First one was okay. It was solid. Under your back, Chewy. Solid in terms of the show itself. This one, I think, it feels more like Star Trek because it's the other shows that focus so much on them being grounded somewhere for the most part, on Earth or his farm or whatever Picard lives in, and yada yada yada. This one's more feels like a space adventure, which is what Star Trek is, right? There are a side storyline of a couple of the characters and Worf and all that still some planets. But it's good, man. I love the last episode. That was a really good episode. Good setup. Again, it's not this is nostalgia porn. Tune up to 9/11. But it's good, solid. Definitely. Again, much better than the second one. That I know the bar's low. But that being said, I am enjoying this a lot. And I heard good things about it, so luckily they were correct on that one. The next one here, Carnival Row, the second and final season on Prime Video, starring this guy Orlando Bloom. It's kind of fantasy tale timepiece, I guess, with a world where these fauns and fairies exist amongst humanity, but they're treated as second class citizens, of course. Wasn't a huge fan of the first season. It was okay. It was fine. It just the second season, I think I'm out. It's not that's a terrible show. That's actually well made in terms of production, but I don't know. I'm just not interested. It's not find it dull, man. It's like they're having no fun with this show, right? And the show with fairies and fauns and werewolves or whatever things of that nature, and it just have a little. It's okay to have fun with the show. It's just very drab and it's bogged down with political, nonsense and stuff. It just doesn't do it for me. I know a few people like this show too. I think you're a bigger fan than I. So
Yeah,
you're probably much deeper into this season. Your thoughts on it?
I mean, I liked it. I liked season one, and I liked season two. Yeah, production value obviously it's Amazon Prime, so they don't definitely don't skip on the budget
Hmm.
and take unnecessary shortcuts. Um, it's bittersweet obviously because we knew this was the end, right? So it's just a two season show. So, but this is just continuation of the story from season one. Now they're just bringing closure to it, in a sense. Uh, and so, I'm not gonna say it's great because it's not. It's got its issues, but it's entertaining for me. Still in the fantasy genre, very dark, right? It's not meant to be upbeat and fun, which is, I guess, one of your issues with it.
Hmm.
But still a serious tone, and if you like season one, there's no reason you will not continue to watch and enjoy season two.
That's probably a fair statement. Like I said, I was a big fan going in, so I'm not surprised I'm feeling this way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not a terrible show. It's just not. It's not for me, right? And I'll leave it at that.
That's fine.
The last one, Liaison. This is one we talked about last week, but I wanted to circle
Mm-hmm.
back because Apple Plus, uncharacteristically, they only released one episode, and they usually do 2 to 3. So an odd choice by them, and one just I didn't get a good gauge on the show enough to recommend it after one episode. I think we're both on the same page on that for the most part.
Mhm.
Political thriller, cyber attacks, you got in London and involving the Syrians and yada yada yada. Of Evergreen and Vince Cassell, who are I guess had a history, romantic history, come across each other again. Cassell's like this mercenary trying to bring in these two potential individuals who could assist with who's actually hacking into the systems.
Mhm.
Um, Two, your thoughts. So the second one came out. I think we got a better picture of what the show is going to be. Did it get better for you?
I got a little better, um, but still not where I want it to be at the end of the day because it's very tropey in these political espionage type of cyber terrorism
Mm-hmm.
shows. There's a little twist as far as the two Syrian kids are actually trying to they got caught up in this mess and they're trying to uncover the secret of who's behind it, right? And they're trying to help. They're not trying to they're not involved in the attack itself. But for the most part, it's okay. It's watchable. It's mildly entertaining. Uh, we'll see if it continues on this path. I'm not sure how many episodes this is, but two in, it's kind of the borderline, right in the middle of the road type of entertainment.
Yeah, this is a take it or leave it kind of show, right?
Yeah,
It is very typical. This is something you expect to see at a BBC, right? You see a lot of these shows from there, right? You know what I'm saying? That kind of
yeah,
feel and vibe,
probably
and
the BBC. Yeah, yeah,
we've seen this
BBC
kind of show, yeah, done
crime
a
thriller.
thousand
Yeah.
times, and I think it's been done better elsewhere than here. And it's not a bad show. I did like the second episode more than the first.
Mm.
Wish they would have dropped both of these together. Probably would have a different opinion, but not enough. I mean, I'll keep watching. It's not enough to keep watching because it's not a bad show, right? But I expect more of Apple Plus, and these shows are just again, you're right, very tropey, just
Hmm.
run of the mill. They're fine. It's fine if this is your genre, go ahead. If you're looking at something more has a little more juice behind it, I probably look elsewhere. To be honest with you, I'll probably
I
keep
mean,
watching it.
there's definitely better BBC shows than this.
Yeah, there's better shows on,
You
on,
know,
on Netflix that are this style, right? It's political kind of
yeah,
thriller,
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, you kind of think of what was that one the FBI one, the CIA one that we recently saw. That
Oh,
was
the
very
recruit.
entertaining.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
that was
recruit,
a
which
see.
was
That was
very
a fun show, right? It was
that
nothing
was
new,
fun.
tropey,
Yes,
but it was fun, right? The main
yes.
character is very entertaining, engaging. He was really good. This one lacks. That's something that doesn't have the juice to like kind of drive you to watch this show. You're just watching it to watch because it's
Mm.
okay, right? Run of the mill thriller, espionage, a lot of
I mean,
political stuff
Slow
behind it.
Horses is much better
Slow Horses is
show
a
than
lot better,
this.
right? It's more unique
Yes.
in its take and all that. So
Mm.
yeah, so yeah, if you want to watch, yeah, if you haven't seen Slow Horses, that's the one in that genre I will recommend wherever it is,
Mm.
both on Apple Plus. So definitely, this week's show, not a lot, just three,
Very light.
and one of them
Three. I
you're
only have
probably
two.
just watching. Well, too few, three for me. You're probably watching. Everyone's watching this one. Who are we kidding? Of course, Mandalorian season
Man,
3 popped up on Disney Plus. It's most popular show, arguably the best Star Wars show. Definitely its most Star Wars esque show with quality. I'll put that in there. Yeah, so only one episode, which again was weird for Disney, I guess. But again, you're
well,
season
what a
three.
very short episode on top of that. Only
Well,
30 minutes, right? If you take out
par
the
for the
end
course.
credits.
That's
Yeah.
always been my biggest complaint. Is like, why is it? It's like actually it's 33, but you take away the next week's scenes and
No, it was like 35. So
35. It
it's
could have been like
35 in
30.
total. So I'd say
Yeah,
30 minutes
it was
because
short.
the end credits is like 4 minutes of
Whatever.
extra. Nice
It's
artwork, good song, but I mean, come on, let's be real.
right. They're unnecessarily long, but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah. So listen, this was a good setup episode. I didn't love it. Thought it was okay. Um, it didn't. It kind of stray away from the form. Usually the form for the show is almost like a video game show, right? He has a task. He goes, does it somewhere,
Hmm.
finishes it. Go
Side
to
quest,
yeah. Go to the next
continue.
next
Yeah.
task, right? Exactly. This
But
one
that's how
felt
it's
more.
always been, and that's fine.
No, it's fine. It works for the show. I have no problem with that at all. This one
Yes,
was just
yeah,
more setting up something down the road, right? Maybe it's
yes.
a little more a different narrator than we're used to, which I'm fine
Mhm.
with. This is one I thought they could have released two episodes with kind of, and her second one's really good.
I
So I'm
probably
encouraged.
should have because, well, I'll probably, I'm just throwing out numbers, but we know that not all the audience saw Book of Boba Fett, or maybe not the casual fan probably didn't see Book of Fett,
Fair.
and so there was a lot, and Book of Fett was essentially, Mandalorian 2.5, at least for a couple
Hmm.
episodes,
Yeah,
with
no, for
with the
sure.
major side quest with
It's the only
Darth
good part about that show.
Saber and hooking up with Grogu again. So maybe you should go back and watch it so it kind of fills in some of the gaps because they did a little flashback trying to fill in. They kind of redid a scene with the whole going back to Mandalore,
Mhm.
which was done already in the previous in the in Book of Boba Fett. But if you watch it, you didn't care. If you didn't watch it, you probably wonder what the hell happened between season two and season three.
That's a good point, yeah, because you're a lot of people didn't watch for good reason Boba Fett, and nor should they have. But you can tune into a couple episodes. I think it's episode 4 and 5 out of that. I think I'm
Yeah, the
around
two
there.
episodes that are must watch to kind of help you with this
Right,
story
exactly.
because it gives you the whole update of Grogu, it gives you the whole dark
Sure,
saber,
that's right.
and obviously the redemption path, which is obviously part of for this season.
Right.
As
Well,
far as
yeah,
because
that's
he took
obviously
up his
the main.
helmet
Yeah.
and now he's got to, at least with on the religious cult side
Mhm.
of the Mandalorians, right? Because not all of them are like that.
Of course, I think not apostle. I want to say apostle, but the title. It's not apostle. It's, I forgot what word they use.
Apostate,
Apostate. Thank you.
apostate.
Meaning against someone who goes against their religion or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was good. Good setup. The production value is great. There's a huge Rebels tie-in for those who are familiar with the Rebels. With the whales, space whales, for those who are familiar with
Oh yes,
yeah, with the
yes,
space
that's
whales.
right.
Yeah,
Yes, as
yeah,
he's traveling
exactly.
through hyperspace or whatever.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
and that was a big part
but
of the finale.
we also had a little Easter eggs from Salacious Crumb species
Yeah.
from Return of the Jedi, which is like one of his cult favorite characters
Yeah.
or puppets. We had a little Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker. Sorry, with Bubba Frick,
Oh
that
yes.
species,
Yes.
and those guys. Well, that was actually
That was a funny scene.
like I want one of those.
It's a funny scene. Yeah,
uh,
like I said,
yeah,
overall, solid, a good
yeah.
setup. I do hear it gets better, so that's I expect it to. It's a fun show,
Yeah.
man. It really is. If you have any interest in Star Wars, you're
It
probably already
knows what
watching
it
this show.
is,
Yeah,
right? It knows what it is, and it
yeah,
plays off of that. It's
exactly.
not trying to be, an
No,
Oscar-nominated Star Wars movie, serious, and
uh,
no, Star Wars is a fun, family, kid-friendly show at the end of the day,
right,
and that's all it's trying to do, and it keep you entertained. It's
exactly,
not trying
and it
to.
does it well.
Yes, it's not
Yeah,
trying to solve the world's problems and give you something serious and dramatic and edgy, a seat mystery, and you got to figure out what's going on.
yeah.
No, it's like you're following his adventure, you're playing a video game, and you're having fun while doing it. And if you
And you
take
got
that mindset, you will love it.
and you
That's
got
why I love this show,
yeah, and you get
right?
Grogu. That's all you gotta say.
What more can you get, man?
Exactly. He's so cute. Uh, this next one here, we'll go through as quick as I know you don't watch this show, and that's Wrong Side of the Tracks. This is the second part of season 2, whatever, continuation of season 1. I enjoyed it for what it was. It's not a great show, but for some reason I just got into it. Whatever, it's fine. Actually, it does very well in Spain. It's a Spanish show. Surrounding
España.
this older gentleman is in this little small neighborhood. Has been taken over by gangs and drugs, and he's a very get off my lawn kind of guy, and he's taking care of his granddaughter who's living with him. So he wants to clean up the streets. He's borderline. He's almost like Archie Bunker, is what I describe him, for the most part. But it's a solid show. Obviously, there's a little police procedure in there, a little Y stuff mixed in, and a little bit of everything. It's fine, entertaining show. I won't spend too much time on this one, but I enjoyed it. Like I said, they're actually doing pretty well for Netflix, so I can't say I'm totally surprised. But I'll leave it at that. 'Cause again, it's a season 2. If you haven't watched season 1, you're probably not watching season 2. This last one, a brand new show here on Amazon. That's a Daisy Jones and the Six.
Mm-hmm.
This one is a show that takes place in the 70s.
It's a fictional, 100% fictional,
Just fictional, right? I think it's based off a book.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
I think.
it's based off a book,
Right.
but I think I think we can read it kind of between the lines. This is it's most closely tied to the Fleetwood Mac
Correct.
saga,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, it is a fiction story, but it has its backbone is actually based on some real events and some real characters that obviously been changed, and
Of
you
course.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a basis, but it's not meant to be in any way, shape, or form an actual depiction
No,
of
no,
what
no,
actually happened.
not at all. So basically, it's following the band and the
Mm-hmm.
rise to fame and of course eventual fall. And as it's if you know anything about rock and roll, particularly in the '70s, it will throughout history, it's a similar tale for almost all these bands. The struggle to go to the top. They finally get there, and it's debauchery and alcohol is usually involved, drugs, egos, all that stuff mixed in, which drives the bands down. It happens all the time. We've seen it all. You see any biopic of most bands, that's usually the story you're gonna get. So this one kind of gives you that, but a fictional band. 3 episodes dropped. Rosie was actually who I guess ends up leading the band. She's the what's the Fleetwood Mac singer? I forget her name.
Stevie Nicks
Stevie Nicks.
or
Yes, he's a Stevie
okay,
Nicks character, I think, right?
okay, I
Yeah,
think so.
she's
Yeah, that's how I equate her to. Yes.
right, right. She's trying to go solo, and eventually she hooks up with this band who was almost rising and struggled back down, and they're trying to get back up
Yeah.
together, basically, essentially,
Hmm.
right? But they do some shots of them, like they almost look like a mockumentary where they had these characters older who are kind of
Well, yeah, because it
telling
starts
the
with,
story. Hmm.
this happened. This is all obviously happened. In the '60s and '70s.
Hmm.
That 20 years later, they finally give an interview or they for this documentary, and they start retelling their story,
Right.
which I find kind of unique, right? Because that's why I was like, oh, okay, it has a nice little
Yeah.
twist to it.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. And I'm enjoying it. I'm
Timothy
enjoying
the
it.
Elephant, dude.
This is, yeah, Tilly Oliphant. That's right. Who's always I love Tilly Oliphant. I'm a big fan of his. Very underrated. But I'm enjoying the show. It's a cool show. Growing up in not in the '70s, but I listened to a lot of '70s rock and '80s, and we're into that stuff. So this familiar tale we're familiar with, right? We've seen Docs on Queen recently, and we saw them on Motley Crue and whatever. All these bands, all the same kind of story. But
Poison.
boy, oh God. But it's a fun ride. It's interesting. It seems it took a little bit long to get to what I wanted to get to, but it's finally there now in the third episode. Thought maybe could have made condensed down to two, maybe. But it's good.
Well,
It's well done.
that's why I think I was good at the drop 3 episodes because, and I watched them all. I mean,
Yeah,
I kind of binged because I really enjoyed the show more than I thought I would. Right, I saw
agreed.
the
I'm
premise
with you there.
and the trailers, like,
I'm with you there.
fake fictional band. I'm like, whatever. But I started reading some reviews, and there was some good feedback from the critics. I was like, okay, I'll commit. And even though it took a little long in the first 2 episodes, I think it was necessary to tell the
It was
complete story,
correct. It's hard
because
to disagree with that.
this is not a single individual, making it to fame. This was two different factors. So we had the original Dunn brothers, whatever they're called.
Yeah, Dub Brothers.
They're from Pittsburgh, right? Middle of nowhere, Pittsburgh, and which is when you go back to history, you see a lot of bands kind of take that path, start the East Coast and make their way west to make
Of
it big,
course, they
right?
want to go on the
And then we have
Sunset Strip. If anybody
yeah,
who
yeah,
knows about rock and roll,
yeah.
that's like the Hollywood music, right? You want to be anything, Sunset
The
Strip,
whiskey bar
whiskey
or
bar,
whatever.
correct? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then Daisy, the Daisy character, who is just basically had talent but just never, is one of these characters where she knows she was good but couldn't quite put it together, right? Not by herself, right? But was trying to make it on her own, uh, under in her own terms, right? She
Right.
was tired of being mansplained how to do everything and how to try to make it big, and she wanted to do it on her own. And so these first episodes kind of gives us the story of how they merge together, right? How
Mhm.
they end up together from two different sides of the country and two different styles and two different types of music, and kind of merge them together under one producer and going through that story. And I'm really liking it, man. I mean, it's compelling. It's you care about some of these characters that they're fleshed out sufficiently that they are real, right? The main singer of the six, obviously has his alcohol problems, marital problems, being a parent problems. I mean, this guy's a mess.
He's a disaster. But it happens a lot,
uh,
and you see that a lot.
and
Obviously, they're
yeah,
young, and
yeah, and his brother and his high school buddies kind of trying to make it. They think they're on the cusp, and they get knocked all the way back down.
Mhm.
And her having to deal with in the '70s and early '60s and '70s, on her own trying to make it in Hollywood, writing good music, having a great voice, but just not being able to kind of figure out how to actually
Of
do it,
course. I
or
mean,
or
it was more of a man's
or,
world,
or,
but
or
yeah,
give herself the opportunity to see how it is that you make it. You don't do it. You can't do it on your own, right? She
right. And
thinks you
it's
can.
in that time it was a man's world, right? Literally,
Well,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
more difficult for women to rise up the ranks, whatever, or
by herself.
be taken seriously anyway, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, I think so. It's good. I'm enjoying it. I like the character, man. Like I said, if like I said, if you're gonna give us same old, execute it well at the very
Yeah,
least, right? And
and it is.
executing
It
it
is.
well. So I'm enjoying it. I'll keep watching it. I good recommend. Definitely, say it was a light week. Good recommend on Amazon Plus. I would assume there's a limited series.
No, no,
I'm
Amazon
Amazon. I'm
Prime.
sorry, Amazon Prime. I'm saying it's all pluses nowadays. I get confused.
Everyone said we're
Everyone's
creative.
plus. Yeah.
Paramount Plus,
Maybe it should be
Apple
Amazon. Should
Plus.
be Amazon Plus. It sounds better than Prime. Man, whatever.
Shut up, dude.
But whatever, dude. Free idea for Bezos or whoever he left behind. That being said, yeah, good show. I'm enjoying it. My wife now, she's caught me watching some of it, and she kind of got interested. So that's usually a sign that it's a decent. It's for everybody.
Hmm.
Because she's not big
Hmm.
into
Yeah.
music like that. So yeah, good watch. Definitely good watch. So the high recommend for the week.
Hmm.
Not there was a whole lot to recommend. Well, not a whole lot of shows. Let's be honest. But the number of shows that's going to change this week. It's a packed week, so we'll get into what's coming out. Luckily, it's spread out, which I like. You're gonna give us, I think it's 8 shows that we have on deck here.
Not a lot.
Spread out throughout the week, starting tomorrow all the way through next through Friday. So it gives me that time to
Mm.
catch up and watch some of the stuff, which is great. So starting on tomorrow on HBO, I would assume it's gonna release at 9, so it won't be there in the morning. And that's
Correct.
of course Perry Mason.
Season two.
Season one was fine. It was more like a prequel to what you think Perry Mason would be. Knowing, but if you're those who are familiar with Perry Mason, his court drama back in, I don't know, 50s, 60s, whatever it was. I don't remember. I think this one now, I think he becomes a lawyer by the end of the season one, right?
At
I
the
think
end of
so.
season one, yeah, he officially becomes a
He becomes
lawyer.
a
Yeah,
lawyer, so I think now it's going to take
so I
more of
think
that route. Right. He was an
yes,
investigator
correct.
before for the most part. Now he's a
Mm.
lawyer. So I'll give it another shot. It was okay, but I'll watch it. Let me see if it can pick up now that it's going to change. I would assume the format's going to change to some degree.
So
Let's see. Also, I won't watch this. I don't have MGM Plus. It's A Spy Among Friends, Guy Pearce. I'm not sure what the show is. Chewy, what is Spy Among Friends?
uh so this actually came out last year.
Oh,
I might have been a BBC show.
okay. So that's a good
But
start.
yeah, but I mean, I did notice that it's not. They put it as an MGM original, so but it was been released somewhere else
Okay.
internationally. So now it's coming to the US a little late. So this is a international spy crime thriller type genre show. I haven't seen the trailer, but I've been watching a lot of the MGM Plus shows that I wanted to catch up
Mhm.
on. So and I'm still currently watching Godfather of Harlem, which is excellent.
Yeah, I'm still
And
waiting
so
for
that's why I
that
was
to
like,
end so I can go binge it and get the free trial.
sucker. Poor Bumpy. Anyway, but that's why I'm gonna watch this and
Okay.
see if it's any good. I'm not sure if it's dropping all. It's 6 episodes, I believe, but I'm not sure if it's dropping all or just doing a
Oh,
weekly
the weekly
drop.
thing. Okay.
Yeah,
Same day, so we got 3 things on Monday. That's very unusual. But only have to watch 2, so I'm fine. And that's History of the World, Part 2, the
part
long
two.
awaited sequel to the original, of course, Mel Brooks's classic, The Inquisition. Here we go. I love that damn movie. So this one finally gets Mel Brooks is, I think is the right thing or he wrote it. Maybe both.
One or the
Um,
other. Yeah,
yeah, I know he wrote it, so I'm not sure he's directing. But nonetheless, it's a 4-day event, right, on Hulu.
eight
Right,
part,
8 parts, so it's
part.
two
So
episodes
two
per
part
day.
today. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll probably get to watch all of them. And that being said, yeah, so obviously, this is history of the world. It chronicles, going through, the progression of man through, Christianity and Jesus and et cetera, and whatever, but in a very fun airplane esque humor kind of thing. A bunch of comedians in here, a lot
Oh
of folks in
God,
here, and
everybody.
the trailers didn't do it for me, except for this one scene where I forgot they're in the
Which
bathroom,
one?
like there's a hand wash, and if it's a hand wash, it's a guy blowing your hands. I thought that was hilarious. So that was pretty funny. But I heard it's good. I heard like,
Okay.
the reviews me okay, so we'll jump on this on Monday, dropping 2 episodes a night.
Mhm.
If you're a fan of Mel Brooks, this you have to watch it. Whether it's good or not, we'll find out. A couple days after that is Netflix docu series. I trying
Documentary.
documentary. Okay, so it's MH370. I'm
Hmm.
not familiar with this. Apparently, it's about a plane that disappeared. That's as much
Yeah,
as I know.
this is the one that disappeared over the Asia. It was from Malaysia. This took this turn. Oh, they couldn't find the plane. I think they think it crashed over in the Indian Ocean somewhere or somewhere in the Pacific. I mean, they have no idea. This plane just completely disappeared, and I've not been able to solve the mystery of what happened to this flight.
Maybe I do remember. I think
This
about
was
it.
this was
If I start watching, I'll be like,
this
oh,
was
this one.
relatively recently.
Yeah, I
It
remember
wasn't like
something. I don't
yeah,
remember that's
maybe
it.
5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, I know this is the one I'm thinking of. But I think if I start watching, I'll be like, oh, I got you. So
I mean, I think
yeah,
it departed from KL. It was going to KL, then like mid-flight, then it started to take a turn, and they were tracking it, and then it just fell off the radar, and haven't been able to find whatever happened to this airplane.
okay. So that's it's an interesting story. And this Netflix documentaries
Yes,
are
absolutely.
usually good, but they're not. Most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
On Peacock.
Peacock.
Peacock Plus. Is it Peacock? Actually, no. I apologize. It's
No,
it's
this Peacock.
Paramount. It's Paramount.
Okay. Okay, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
my bad on that
Young
one. A
Spirits.
quick
Young
adjustment. That's School
Spirits.
Spirits, right?
Oh, School
School
Spirits.
Spirits,
Sorry.
right? This one is looks like it's I forgot the name girl who's in
Well, she's
Cobra Kai.
in Cobra Kai. Yeah.
Right. I
I can't
forget her
remember
name.
her name.
Jeez. But either way, so she I guess dies, and there's a support group for those who just recently died. I don't know. I guess they're trying to figure out how she died, something along those lines. It looks very
Mm-hmm.
YA. This worries me because I know it reeked of Wolf or Team or Wolf Pack or whatever that show's called, which
Wolfpack.
I hated. I just absolutely hated it. So we'll give it a shot. They'll probably drop one episode because that's what Paramount Plus usually does anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big deal. On Netflix on the 9th as well. They're both shows on Thursday. You get the second part, the last 5 episodes of You, the season
Mm-hmm.
4. I still don't know if this is the last season, not to be honest with you.
I do not know
Yeah,
yet.
I have no idea. So that comes out on the 9th. On the 10th, we got two things, both on Netflix. We got first Luther, The Falling Sun, which is a film, of course, based off the
Mm-hmm.
5 season series, BBC, which
Mm-hmm.
Netflix featured. Now it's on Hulu, I believe.
Yes.
I saw it a couple weeks ago. My review's up on the channel. Look it up. You can let me know. I can let you guys can see my thoughts on the film. Chewy, I will get your thoughts next week as far as that goes.
All right.
And then the last one is The Glory. This was a part two of
Part
a
two. Yeah.
Korean show, a Korean revenge story. I'm always good for a good comeuppance story. Not your typical Korean when it comes to this. It's not, a lot of Korean shows me very graphic in nature. No, this was not something different. I really enjoyed this one. Actually, I don't know if you got into it or not.
No, I did. I did.
Okay.
I did see season one. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's good.
So
It's really well done. Yeah.
I didn't realize they were putting up part two so quickly because it came
Neither
out
did I.
earlier this
Yeah,
year.
it kind of snuck up on me. I was like, better. I'm like, okay, good. 'Cause I want to see what
Okay.
was going on, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, good story. This girl who's obviously was tortured when she was a young kid in high school or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case is. Now she's grown up and exacting her revenge and all the parties involved. Really well done. I'm gonna like this one. If you guys get a chance, catch up in season one. It's really good. So part two comes out on the 10th as well. So a lot of stuff here packed. Luckily,
Every week.
luckily spread out. So I like that. So
Heavy duty.
and God, history of the world. I'm rooting for you, man. I'm rooting for history of the world. I really am, dude. That being said, we appreciate it, of course. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Subscribe, like channel, support the show, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.